And while Nixon and his decoupling of the dollar from gold was said to be a temporary, and at the time, Nixon said this was a temporary measure when it was announced, we find ourselves in a very dangerous situation today. A situation that millions are either oblivious to or dismiss away as some sort of superstitious relic from the past. Now, I was born well after 1971, and although you wouldn't know it because of this beard here, but my generation grew up with just fiat currency. We weren't educated. We didn't know about gold-backed money, silver-backed money. We didn't really understand that so much. You could find a quarter that's from 1964 or older in America, and that's about 90% silver. That's actually worth a lot more than a quarter, I'll tell you that. So we're faced with two stark realities today. And the first one is gold and silver have maintained a stable value for thousands of years, and their values are rising today. And it's only because it's relative to the falling of the dollar. So it's not that gold and silver really aren't. They're actually very stable. They really haven't changed in value. It's only that we can see the price of gold and silver change relative to where the dollar's at on the world market. Right? Is the dollar up or down? And that affects the price of pretty much everything. Number two, every single fiat currency in history, and there have been hundreds, by the way, if not thousands, they eventually return to a value of zero. They start at zero, fiat currencies start at zero, and they go this way and that, and eventually they return to zero. There have been no exceptions to this. There have been zero exceptions in thousands of years in human history. So to say that the, 40, 50-year period that we live in where we've been off of the gold standard and the dollar's just been kind of a floating fiat currency, not really based on anything of value, to say that somehow that this period in history is completely immune from previous epochs where currencies have crashed, that's just nonsense. Now, in the Roman Empire, one gold coin equaled 12 silver coins. And it's kind of been historically, we're seeing about, now today I think the ratio is about 15 to 1, 15 silver coins to one gold coin, or 14 depending on who you talk to, but it's pretty close. But gold and silver have been popular choices for currency because the value is stable. The value doesn't go way up and way down, right? Something with fiat currency that could crash. The value of gold doesn't crash. It never has. The value of silver never has crashed. They have, and I guess it depends on how you define crash, though. Crash could be 20% or more technically. So I guess it could crash in terms of dollars, but not really in terms of its intrinsic value. It's always held its value. They have, these precious metals have historically held the same value, and that's why they are considered safe havens when we're talking about trying to, if you're trying to get out of fiat currency and you want to go to gold or silver, they have a steady value over time. They've stood the test of time. So then it begs the question, why exactly do prices go up in the first place? This is a very interesting perspective, and then we'll get back to more of the Bioshock influences. So I grew up in the 80s, and I remember when I was about 9 years old, give or take, I could buy this 12-ounce bottle of RC Cola for 35 cents at the time. Today, this same bottle of RC Cola will cost at least $1.50 or more, if you could even find one in glass anymore. chances are you'll probably find this cola in plastic, which in theory is cheaper to produce and yet still costs more. Now, you have to ask yourself, has the value of carbonated water or caramel coloring or the syrupy sweetener that they use to make this stuff, has the value of any of the ingredients gone up? No. Has the value of glass gone up drastically? Not really. So then why exactly does the same bottle of soda in a cheaper container cost 328% more than it did when I bought it as a kid in the 80s? If nothing has fundamentally changed in the cost of the ingredients to make the bottle of cola, and the same is true for a gallon of milk, and in fact, it's probably gotten cheaper with automation and in technology. It's probably gotten cheaper to produce a lot of things, right? But in fact, the price to make a lot of things has actually gone down because of the refinements in processes, automation, that sort of thing. So then what's so different about today in prices versus when I was a kid buying a soda in the 1980s? And the reason, of course, is inflation. Since the dollar is no longer backed by a stable store of value like gold or silver, it means it takes more money to buy the same thing. So prices aren't going up at all, right? The price of a bottle of soda really hasn't gone up at all. It's that the dollar has gone down, right? The basic value of like a gallon of milk in 1984 has the same value in 2020. Right? The demand is still there. Everyone is still drinking milk. Nothing's really changed in that regard. Milk hasn't changed. Cows haven't changed. The technology to get the milk may have gotten better. The processes and the refinements because milk producers are always looking for ways. Every business is looking for ways to save money. So they probably figured out over time how to produce the same amount of milk for a lower cost so they can make more money. So the value of the milk isn't more valuable today than it was in the 80s, for example, and yet the price is going up. It's not that the price is going up, it's that the buying power of the dollar is sinking, right? And eventually the inherent value of the dollar is going to deflate its way back to zero, right? It's well, we're either gonna have we're seeing inflation and deflation, but I'm not going to get into all of that right now. So in fact, the value of a bottle of soda or almost anything else you buy, which has been commonly available for decades, actually hasn't gone up in value at all. Nothing's really more expensive. Now, there isn't one exception. When something new hits the market and it isn't produced on a very massive scale and it costs more because maybe a company has to build special machines to make this new product, those things are going to be more expensive, right? The new like when flat screen TVs came out, that technology was still new. They were still trying to figure out how to do it, right? They've already figured out how to put a gallon of milk in the stores. That's been around for a long time. So the value, even though milk's getting more expensive, it's only because the dollar's sinking. It's not right. So the only exception is some new emerging technology that isn't widely available. Yes, it's more expensive, but then you notice the price starts to go down. But as the price goes down, at some point things still get more expensive, even when they're widely produced, because it takes more worthless dollars. You have to spend more and more worthless dollars year after year to buy the same exact thing. So there's kind of a weird thing to get your head around. But to understand that the buying power of the dollar is sinking, that's actually what's causing prices to go up. It's not that It's not that things are more expensive per se. So when it seems like prices are rising, it's actually the opposite is happening. The buying power of the dollar is actually falling.